Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to our weekly live podcast. We say this every time, but we go out live on Twitch every single week on either a Sunday or a Monday. We did miss a week because we moved house, but I'm sorry. But otherwise this year we've pretty much made it every week so far, right? Which is good. And we're going to try and continue this trend because it's good fun and it's a good chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you missed the live party, and it sucks if you missed it, really, because it's good fun. What you can do is head on over to Twitch, search for Warhammer Liam. Follow the channel, and then when we do go live, it will give you a notification on a Sunday or a Monday. We also put the schedule up on the Twitch homepage and on the Facebook banner on the homepage as well. So if you guys are curious as to when we're streaming, that will normally give you a pretty good indication. And if we're getting towards the end of the month, then soon the banner will change and it'll update you for next month, and you'll get all the dates for next month as well. But we do this every week, and we do sort of chuck out topic options to patrons on Discord, right? And then we kind of come up with some. Sometimes the content's given to us because there's a new release or a new FAQ or whatever. Other times, like tonight, there's not normally a topic, so we just sort of pick one and go for it.
Scrape the barrel a little bit.
And that's on Discord. And if you don't know what Discord is, then have a look. But you can join us on Discord by going through Patreon. And for those of you that are watching us live on Twitch tonight, if you haven't already, if you go on our Facebook homepage, there's currently a link to Patreon, to Discord to get you in for free.
Yeah.
Which lasts for the next 24, 48 hours-ish, and at which point you can decide to become a patron and join us, or you cannot, and in which case you'll lose access, but at least you've got to try it for free before you pledge any money. So there is that option there for those of you who aren't currently joining us on Discord to come and have a look. See what it's all about and see how much hobby goes on in there, because it's crazy busy in there, right? And it's
it's been
full of amazing hobby.
So busy this weekend.
Yeah, so like I said, if by the end of, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, I promised, you're not already a paying Patreon, at that point you'll lose your access, and it's for people that are paying customers, I'm afraid. But we did want to give people a free trial for a few days so you can come in and see how awesome it is, because Mikey and I both truly believe that if you experience it, you'll get the bug and you'll want to stay.
Yeah, totally, definitely.
Another thing to mention is not next month, but the month after, Mikey P and another patron of ours, Andy Byrne, are doing a 100-kilometre walk for charity for Parkinson's UK. Anything that gets donated to the channel via the link on Twitch at the moment will go directly to their fundraising. We just sent across just shy of £300 for you. Yeah. So I think your total's about £800 at the moment.
We're about 800 quid at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And the target's 1,000.
Yeah.
It's interesting actually. With gift aid donations, you're close to 1,000.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Which is really, really cool. So anything that anyone wants to donate, if you want to, feel free to. Otherwise, you can head on over to the Just Giving page. Basically, it's better for me if you go to the Just Giving page. Otherwise, it costs me money.
Yeah.
To send it across.
Well, yeah. Go to Just Giving.
When I sent across that money, it cost me like an extra 25 quid to do it. But
did it really?
Yeah. It's
that's rubbish.
But it doesn't matter because it meant that you got the total, which is fine.
Oh, well, thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
But yeah, so it's easier for me if you go to the Just Giving page, and the title of it is...
it's Race to the Stones is the event.
Yeah.
And our page is A Long Walk for a Short Beer.
Yeah, exactly. So if you check out Long Walk for a Short Beer on Just Giving, you'll find their page, and it's Andy and Mike, 100k walk, like I said, and it's all going for Parkinson's UK, all the proceeds. So it's a good cause, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And we like to shout out all these amazing things that people do. So.
Yeah, be generous, people. It's a long way to walk.
It would be amazing if we could get you to hit the target without just giving donations before. Before.
That'd be cool.
Perfect. What else is going on at the moment? Not much, I think. That's about it, right?
I think things are sort of a bit quiet on the GW front, really.
I mean, contrast paints are coming out soon.
Contrast paints coming out soon.
They've given us a date. I am as someone who doesn't have time to paint anything anymore, I am super excited by contrast paints.
Me too.
Because I think they're going to be amazing.
They are. I have had a go.
Yeah, you've seen them firsthand, right?
Yeah, I have had a go, and they are pretty impressive, I have to say. I had a little go on a Plague Marine. I got to try probably like 5 or 6 colours, and the effect is impressive, I would say, for the short duration of time actually painting. The effect you get after it is well good.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah,
I know you were really impressed, and there's some other people that I've seen that have come from Warhammer Fest who've said that they were amazing. The trials that they've had. Some of the other patrons have seen it, said they think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to really change the way people paint certain art, especially Horde armies, right? I think it's going to really change the way people paint Horde armies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and I think there's been an article on the Warhammer community page where GW have said that their they're sort of coining a phrase which is like battle ready. I think they call it battle ready painting standard. And yeah, go on.
Their original battle ready, I think, was essentially a base coat, a wash, a dry brush, basically.
Yeah.
And they looked fine. Mm-hmm. They did look fine, but these new contrast paints are just so much nicer with a single application rather than even those 3 coats.
Yeah, that's it. And battle ready is very much either you do the base, the wash, the dry brush, or it's just contrast over a base coat.
They are, Richie's already said to us in the chat, they are coming out on the 15th of June.
They are.
And what I've learnt today from reading through Discord, actually, from our patrons, is it looks, or was it yesterday, whichever, it looks like they're maybe discontinuing the Air range, or they might be going web store exclusive or something.
Yeah, it looks like they've been starting to disappear, haven't they?
Yeah, which is interesting. I've used them, the Air paints, but they're not. I mean, you can get the same effect by mixing a normal paint with some airbrush thinner, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they've also been showing contrast being put through an airbrush. I think it's the Cult of Paint showed them going through an airbrush over a silver base.
That's right, yeah.
And that was quite an interesting effect as well.
Yeah, interesting effect. Nice, smooth, nice colour. It didn't really seem to have the same sort of recess and highlight effect that just blobbing it on with a brush does. But it still looked nice.
Yeah.
As a sort of base coat colour.
I think if you were to base coat with a silver and then do your sort of zenithal highlighting then, and then put the contrast paint over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still more effort than just using contrast paint, right?
But yeah, totally.
I think you would get a similar effect, which would still be quite easy to do.
Yeah, and you can't really make it out just from a photo of it.
Yeah.
Especially because it's metallic, so it's got that kind of shiny effect anyway. But yeah, they look good though.
Yeah. So Rich Thompson just said that his store manager told him that they think they're being discontinued, which is interesting.
Yeah.
15th of June they come out, which is important because it is a week after No Surrender 2.
It is.
A lot of people that watch this on YouTube won't know what the hell No Surrender 2 is. No Surrender 2 is a Warhammer-only Patreon event, and it's a narrative knockout tournament that's put together by 2 of our patrons, a guy called Richie and a guy called The Claw. And No Surrender 1 was up at Warhammer World and was incredible. No Surrender 2 is promising to be even better. And it is in a pub venue upstairs in a gaming room, and it sounds like it's going to be amazing. And
it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun.
And I'm really sad I can't be there. But
I'll be there flying the flag.
Duty calls, but you're going, Mike.
Yeah, totally.
And it will be covered, and there'll be pictures and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So it's one day, it's on the Saturday, so I'm going out on the Friday, staying over, going to have a meal on the Friday night and a few beers, I imagine. Yeah. Be a bit tender on the Saturday, ready to play some games, roll some dice, and then on Sunday we're heading up to Warhammer World as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Just rub it in a little bit more.
Yeah, well, you know.
If you want to know how to get involved in those sorts of events, then basically you have to become a patron of the channel. And there's multiple, because this one's happening this next month, and then there's Weekend at Bernie's 2, which is going on in
October,
thank you. Yeah. 12th and 13th.
Something like that.
And
yes, I think it is.
He's doing a 3-game tournament or something, or a 4-game tournament. And
5.
He's actually a 5-game tournament. He's actually still got spaces left as well. Yeah,
there's about 6 or 7 spaces left.
I think, and Richie will correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I think that there's still spaces at No Surrender to just go and hang out. If you want to, you can just still turn up and hang out and meet people. I don't think there's any gaming space at the moment. I think he's all out of gaming space right now because he's not only running the knockout tournament, but he's also got other people coming just to chill out and play games as well.
Yeah.
But you be a member of the community, and that's one of the bonuses you get alongside the Warhammer map that we've got. And you could drop a pin on the Google map, and it will show you everybody who's near you who's from the community as well. And people have been organising games and meetups and stuff for that. So amazing. So much stuff. Thanks for the subscription. Graziman, is it? I don't know. I can't read that. My eyes are tired. So awesome stuff going on in the community. Come and join us. We've also got deploymentzone.tv. You can see it across the top of the screen. That's a website where we put on battle reports every single Tuesday between Winters and I. So we've just put a battle report on YouTube, which is me versus Winters. And if you want to see more of that kind of stuff, more battle reports from me, more battle reports from him, they are on deploymentzone.tv. And next week we will launch our very first painting tutorial, where Rob Not Steve, who painted Winters The End of All Things, does a tutorial on how to paint The End of All Things.
Oh, cool.
So if you love Winters' Death Guard and you want to do something similar or copy the scheme, you can go on to deploymentzone.tv as of next week and watch his tutorial, and he'll show you how to paint The End of All Things. And he's got, I think, 6 or 7 or 8 of them. And if you think Rob Not Steve did his Custodies and stuff like that as well, so there's lots of little tutorials going on there from Rob Not Steve, who's taken time out of his day to put these tutorials together for us.
What a lovely man. Well. Excellent. I look forward to that.
Perfect. Anyway, that's that. The meat and bones of tonight, the main topic we wanted to talk about. I just sort of come up with this off the fly, thinking about topics, and there was a conversation that Winters and I had a little while ago, and I thought this made perhaps perfect content for a podcast at this stage. and that is to talk about 8th edition as an edition on the whole, but more importantly, whether we consider nowadays it to be more or less accessible than 40k has been in the past.
Yeah.
And actually, it sparks some really interesting discussion in Discord about whether it is more or less accessible. And people have also got different opinions on what makes it more or less accessible. Now, you, interestingly, are a returner to the hobby, right, Nate?
I am, yeah. So
you must have thought it's more accessible.
Yeah, totally, and I still do. I don't think there's any doubt personally, but there are arguments as to why it might be less accessible, I suppose. But overall, I think it is.
So what made it more accessible for you? Like, I'm trying to give you time to talk
here. Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, so basically, I was watching, I did Warhammer as a kid, and then about 10 years ago as well, as an adult, sort of adult. And I gave it up for various reasons, but I started watching YouTube bat reps on Warhammer 40k, and I just quite enjoyed it, thought I wanted to get back into it. This was at the tail end of 7th, and it was really quite sort of complicated to me. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't sort of easily explained within the bat reps. Excuse me. But I knew that 8th edition was coming out, so I waited for 8th edition to come out, basically, and then it came out with a whole new rules set, which was just massively streamlined. So it was a lot easier for me to pick up the game at that point, along with everyone else in the community, really, and learn to play it through bat reps. So that's why I sort of joined up.
The people coming back to 8th edition with the release of the rule set and what the rule set was, what it entailed, was huge. The number was massive. It's pretty unprecedented for GW to see that number of people that have sort of come and picked. And I don't know if it was just completely people that have returned. Perhaps there was a huge number of new starters as well. I don't know.
Oh, I think there's a lot of brand spankers as well. You know, people who've never played the game before, but they've heard a bit about it. Maybe they've played board games or D&D, and they've been aware of 40k or Games Workshop, but have never been involved in it. And because of the popularity of it's just boomed. You know, there's just more people getting involved. Yeah,
and there's also, I have noticed as well, that there's also more, I mean, we're very proud of ours, but there's more communities out there. So you can find them all over the place. I know we charge people $2 to join Discord because we want to keep it to people that want to be there, basically. But actually, you can find communities all over the place. Local gaming stores or local gaming clubs and stuff like that. They are sprung up everywhere now. They're all over the place.
They are, absolutely. I mean, I think when I came back to 40k and wanted to find some games to play with people, I did a search on Facebook, and there's 3 or 4 clubs within about 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive for me. So there's loads of people out there, and some of them were more playing things like D&D or collectible card games
or bolt action
and stuff. But a lot of them would play 40k along with some other things.
And I also think, actually, off topic ever so slightly, but I suppose still relevant, but it wouldn't be a podcast without a minor tangent. I honestly believe that the sort of attitude towards it, the stigma has changed a little bit. To when I was a teenager or early 20s in the forces, the stigma was very, 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 very different to what it is now, and that's I think for a multitude of different reasons. If you look at shows like The Big Bang Theory, if you look at series of films like the Avengers series or the Marvel films and stuff like that, and even to some extent things like the Lord of the Rings films and Game of Thrones, all this fantasy and sci-fi stuff has suddenly become what I would consider more mainstream.
Yeah, definitely. It's bringing in the big bucks in Hollywood, isn't it?
And I think that's encouraged people who perhaps wouldn't have looked at something like 40k in the past to maybe consider it, because it's no longer got that necessary negative stigma attached. I mean, so I say negative stigma. It never really bothered me that much, but some people would have seen it as negative.
Oh, I think it does, and it still does bother some people. You know, I mean, I don't. I mean, I talk about it sometimes at work, but I certainly don't advertise the fact that I play these games. If people ask, or maybe if they find out or whatever, I'll be open and honest about it and talk freely. But it's not something I'd advertise.
I have Discord open at work. I don't care.
I can't do that. My boss sits in the same room as me. He wouldn't have it.
I'm the boss. I'm all right.
Yeah, there you go.
but in seriousness, like it is more. I mean, it is more mainstream, I suppose, now, and it is more there's more awareness of it, and I mean that's for a multitude of reasons again, because GW are now all over social media. They're on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So they're actually putting themselves out there a lot more.
And a lot of coverage in the media. There's been articles in major press, and they were on Radio 2 and the Jeremy Vine show and things like that. So they are getting themselves out there, and they're being noticed as well by mainstream media.
And I genuinely believe that stigma makes it more accessible for people, because there's less of a fear to sort of give it a go and chuck yourself into something like that. That in the past, things like 40k and D&D would have been big no-nos for some people, because I'll get picked on or whatever it might be. And people were very, very wary of it. And the other thing is, some people I think were so closed off to the bigger world because it wasn't considered mainstream, that if someone then tried to come into that sort of group, on occasion, I think it could become quite hostile for people.
Well, they view them with suspicion, I think.
Yes, of course.
So I think you say stigma, and I completely agree with you there. There's a lot of stigma. But the more something is talked about, the smaller the stigma becomes, because the more people outside understand or have easy access to information about something. So the more enlightened, for want of a better word, people are about a topic, the less stigma there is around it.
Yes, of course.
So
fear of the unknown, I think, to some degree, isn't it?
Totally.
Which is a case in human nature in general.
Yeah.
People fear the unknown.
And also, people who are in the hobby and don't necessarily want to talk about it. It's fear of a stigma. It's fear of ridicule.
Yeah.
And then people who are new to the hobby might have encountered some suspicion, as I said, sort of mentioned earlier, some suspicion from people within. They're saying, "Why are you coming to play this?"
Yeah, of course. And I guess that's kind of understandable, because it's still a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
But I certainly think at the launch of 8th, it was definitely more accessible than it ever has been before. The rulebook was something like 16, 17 pages long, and that's what you needed to play.
Yeah.
The indexes came out. You had multiple factions in a single book that cost 15 quid, 20? I can't remember what it was. But it wasn't as much as a codex, and you had multiple factions within it. There was no layers of complexity to rules. It was essentially a basic faction rule, if that, and then just the rules for the models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think people returned in droves because it was so simple.
Yeah.
Now, there's an argument. It's already popped up in the chat on Twitch as me and you have been chatting. There was an argument now that it started off that way, but actually it's taking a slight turn for the worst, which is very interesting that people say that. Winters, my business partner and fellow YouTuber, he has said basically the exact same thing. He thinks the same thing, and he thinks that potentially GW are running the risk at the moment of overcomplicating something that was designed to be simple, perhaps due to the one-stroke need for sales, maybe, and it potentially is going to drive newer people now who are, so say you came along now who hadn't played or knew it in 2nd edition and was coming back, you might look at it now and go, it's still too complicated.
It's definitely harder to get into now than it was at the drop of 8th.
This is a tough one for me. I kind of agree and disagree at the same time, and I'll explain.
Go on.
So if you wanted to dive into the game at the stage that we are now, and you wanted to play everything, yes, 100% it's too complicated, because you need your rule book, and then you need your FAQ for your rulebook, then you need your FAQ for your army, and your codex, and your chapter
it's a lot.
It's a lot of admin, and you have to look at a rule that's in a codex that might be superseded by an FAQ in a rulebook that might have been superseded by an FAQ in a codex, and it gets a bit messy.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, it's a bit all over the place.
Well, we had a conversation with that just earlier on.
Yeah.
I opened a codex and said, "Oh, this is a bit rubbish." And you said, "Oh, that's been FAQ'd."
Yeah.
Oh, right, has it?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
You've just bought the codex, right?
Yeah.
And that I'm going to say this now, that pisses me off, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is even financially or business viable as a thing to do, but this annoys me. You have a codex. So let's say, for example, I'm a Chaos Space Marine player, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know, and there's already 2 versions of that codex.
Yeah.
But say I have a Chaos Space Marine codex. Say 6 months into the Space Marine Codex being out, they bring out a big FAQ and change loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, as a Chaos Space Marine player who's used that codex for 6 months, I've kind of got value for money, so okay.
Yeah.
But if you then go out 2 weeks later and buy that codex, you're buying something that's already out of date.
Yes.
It annoys me that the one on the shelf they then sell to you once they've released that FAQ doesn't have the updates in it. Now, like I say, I understand from a business perspective, you're talking about potentially throwing away hundreds of books you haven't, or thousands of books you haven't sold, and then reprinting new ones with these changes in. But do you not think that's perhaps the level of service we deserve? Or maybe even a way of, I don't know how.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying, and it's completely valid, and I agree with you to an extent. So, but there are ways of avoiding it, and there are some measures that are being put in place to try and rectify the situation. So, first and foremost, you could buy the enhanced editions on your iPad, and they'll get updated automatically.
Which is fine if you have an iPad.
Yes.
Otherwise, you have to spend hundreds of pounds on an iPad. And if you're one of those people out there that doesn't like Apple, and some people don't.
I'm not. I'm not saying it's
screwed.
I'm not saying they are bish bash bosh. That's fixed. But that is a way. That's one way that you can mitigate it. And the other thing that GW are doing is, you mentioned earlier on the version 2 of the CSM codex. So they've brought Curse Space Marines version 2 out. That includes changes.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's a moving goalpost. It's a moving target,
now,
and the printed word can't be reprinted immediately.
Now,
there's a lag.
Chaos Space Marine Codex 2 was a great move. It's a great move, in my opinion, in terms of intention.
Mm-hmm.
But they've still fucked that up. Okay, and what I mean by that is they've consolidated all the new units that have come out and a lot of the FAQ changes that have come out to the codex originally, the first codex. And they've put it into one big codex. And they've called it version 2. It's a step in the right direction. And they still did things like put obliterators in there at 65 points.
They screwed that up.
That's stupid. I mean, that's just...
It is.
For me, I love GW, and I will go on camera saying, I'm not the fanboy that will go, they don't do anything wrong.
No.
I do love the company. That was a stupid mistake that should have never happened.
It's human error. There's no doubt, is there? There's no doubt that was human error. I mean, you can tell from just looking at it that, someone dropped a bollock.
Now, interestingly, Richie put a comment. I don't want to lose it quickly, but he put a comment in which I really like as a conception, and he said about a ring binder type thing. What if you bought a codex instead of being a book? Perhaps it was some sort of you had a package. Okay, and I'd pay a little bit more for this as well. Actually, hear me out. You had a package in cellophane or whatever, and in it you had a narrative book, which was all the narrative stuff out of the codex, and then you had a ring binder attached to the front of it, which had all the current data sheets and points values in. And when they updated something or changed it, they would give you the option to print off or go into store and pay 50p or whatever for the new data sheet. Take your old one out, put your new one in, and you're just replacing one page at a time. Your law book doesn't change because it's narrative, so you keep that hardback book forevermore, and then you have the ability to live update. And it might be that your points sheets has only got 2 points changes, but you could just replace the whole sheet and your codex would always be the most up-to-date one. How easy would that be?
Well, it would. It would.
But there's a but
on the basis that people are going to go into their GW and pay 50p for a sheet, or are they going to forget, or they're not going to know about it? And then whose binder is up to date? But everyone's got a different version of the same codex.
But that's okay, I get that, but that's not really that different to having an FAQ now.
No.
Essentially, now if you had. I don't know. You could have an update matrix that you would put on the website, on the community website for free, which would replace the FAQs essentially. That would say that page 1 is on issue 1, page 2 is on issue 2, page 3 is on issue 1, page etc.
Right. Okay.
And you can just cross it, and it would take a couple of minutes. But what you're having there is essentially a live codex that is printed. Because I am someone who prefers a printed book.
Yeah, I do.
Don't like. I've got digital editions on my iPad.
Yes, and it's not the same, is it? I don't think it is.
No, and I like them because I can, when I'm at work or something and I need to look at something, I can literally pick it up on iBooks and have a look at it. However, for me, there's nothing quite like having the actual book.
I completely agree. I think we might be dinosaurs in that regard, though. You know.
I just do, and I'll be honest with you. Even like Mikey Brom, he prefers the book on iPad. And when we play against each other, the speed difference in me being able to flick to a page and him having to finger blast his way through a book is honestly insane. You think the digital edition will be quicker. It's just not. It's not.
I think Brom's pretty quick as well, to be fair. He's had a lot of practice at it, constantly trying to look up his rules. And he blasts through it pretty quick. I find it really slow trying to get through the extended editions. Or through the electronic ones. So I much prefer having a book, to the extent where I've just made myself a spreadsheet and stuck on a clipboard.
But and that's the thing. Like, how many people now have cheat sheets with them and they create their own? So I don't know why GW aren't jumping on this. You could even, if they were clever enough, they could even have a some sort of interactive system on the website, for example, where you could build. This is something that's frustrating me they haven't done yet, actually, because I think this would be really simple, right? Let's say they had a roster builder app or website, okay, and you click your units in.
Yeah.
And then they will bring in the most up-to-date rules, like Battlescribe does, because Battlescribe's community control,
wink, wink,
so it's not
hint,
completely 100% spot on.
Yeah.
But like Battlescribe does, and then they allowed you to print that off when you're going to an event, a tournament, a battle, whatever, and then. I mean, how people would pay money for that?
Yeah, they would, absolutely. And what's been mentioned, I think, on the chat previously, the clause says even Microsoft have Office subscription now. If you could pay a monthly subscription to GW of, say, $4.99 a month or something like that, and get access to codexes electronically, and be able to print them, and be able to do a Battlescribe style list builder and print them, then they would make money hand over fist. However, a lot of their money is on the printed word. A lot of their revenue stream is in the printed word, and to expect them to just drop that is well, it's a little bit unfair, to be honest with you, because it's asking them to drop as a revenue source for their business. Having said that, at the 40k preview at Warhammer Fest, the question was asked very pointedly, is there going to be a GW style Battlescribe? And the answer was, it is being worked on. So it's an inherently difficult thing for them to do. It's quite easy for AOS because there's no adjustments
AOS
for
compared to
weapons
40k
and stuff.
Significantly more simple,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You just pick a unit, drop it in.
And it's just how many of those.
Yeah, and they're in multiples of their minimum squad size.
Exactly.
So it's either 10, 20 or 30.
Exactly
It's
right.
that simple.
So it's really simple, and it's child's play. 40k is much, much different. Individual models within the unit have different war gear options, and so on, psychic powers, etc., etc. It goes on and on. It's very complicated, and that's why Battlescribe is really great. We all use it, don't we? I think.
Yeah.
But it's also people get narky with it because it's out of date or it's wrong. You know, at times.
There's a lot of people that, for example, when we go to SN, who say you fine to build your list in Battlescribe, not a problem.
Yeah.
Don't send it to us in Battlescribe's format because it's messy, and make sure you check your points before you submit, because they're often found to be wanting at
absolutely
times.
And pretty much all tournaments all say that exact same thing, because Battlescribe is not infallible. It makes mistakes, and it misses things, and it has strange little foibles in it that screw up certain units, etc., etc., etc. There's various reasons why.
I mean, it should be noted, like I've said before, that Battlescribe is updated by the community, so people are offering their free time to do this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of those mistakes I think we can justifiably forgive, because I wouldn't have the first clue how to start fixing Battlescribe for Chaos or for Elder or whatever. So it's amazing. But if you've got a team of people that are dedicated to doing it, but then what you also have to remember is that becomes a staff cost for GW, and there's lots of stuff to think about, right?
People donating their free time is much cheaper than paying people to actually build a thing. And the thing is, one last little thing. I was just going to say that there's GW building their own Battlescribe style thing. It's quite a difficult thing for them to do as well, because Battlescribe is already very good. And in order for GW to release something that they're probably going to ask people to pay for, it needs to be better than Battlescribe, which is pretty difficult, really. Yeah. And if they released a Battlescribe style thing, Battlescribe was still going, the community, people who build Battlescribe, would try very, very hard to make Battlescribe better than the GW released version.
Battlescribe has a funding option as well. You can pay to fund it through iTunes and stuff like that. Yeah. So Battlescribe has a revenue stream already. Yeah. So GW have got to be careful with how they release it and what it looks like. I think, in all seriousness, I think they should have had it out by now.
I agree with you.
I know it's software development. I know software development's hard. We've got some very clever people in the world now, and when you look at what GW do with their websites and stuff like that, and some of the content they've created on things like YouTube, they clearly have capable people. When you look at the people they have to design models on some of their computer systems and stuff, I don't know why it doesn't already exist. I don't know why. It just doesn't make sense. The only thing I can perhaps think is, and this is a very cynical view, but the only thing I can perhaps think is, if GW released an app, that was like Battlescribe, maybe this cost you £3 a month or something.
Yeah.
What they do at that point is they kill the revenue stream, I think, that you were just talking about, depending on how they do it. So with BattleScribe, if you don't use it, you don't know what it is, it's on iTunes, it's on the Google Play Store, you can get it on website. And what happens is you can build your roster, and then once you've finished building your roster, you can look at the roster and it will give you all the rules for all the units and stuff, right? And it gives you the unit stat lines and it gives you the weapon stat lines and stuff like that. Now imagine if GW made that as a free app to download, and you downloaded it for Tyranids for your codex, okay? So you downloaded that app, you built your roster on it, it was free. You don't need the codex anymore, really. I mean, you do for stratagems, but you can just buy the cards. You don't need the codex.
You don't need it for the rules.
No.
So the fluff and stuff the narrative is still going to be in there, and the pictures.
So the cynic in me wonders if part of the reason why it's not out yet is because they're concerned that perhaps if they put all the rules into this sort of app, they may lose the revenue source of the books. Now, I'm a book person and I love books, but I'm thinking to myself, GW needs to drag themselves into the modern age. There's a thing we studied when we were doing like project management stuff at work called disruptive innovations, right? Where a company comes along and looks at how a thing operates or a revenue source is earned or whatever, and they go, okay, I like it. However, we can come in from this completely brand. Uber is a case in point.
Yeah.
Biggest taxi company in the world doesn't own a single vehicle. Okay. BattleScribe, what they're doing essentially is giving us all this information that exists in books without producing a single book. That's what I fear GW is putting off. Whereas I feel a little bit like if they embraced it early and chucked themselves in at the deep end and went, let's go for this, let's go digital with it, but make it good digital.
Yeah.
And by good digital, I mean something that I can print off and use. Then that's got to be beneficial to them in the long run, surely. And surely it makes things more accessible for people, because that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Surely it pisses people off less because they're more likely to have the latest versions of the rules. I just don't see the massive negative apart from perhaps losing sales of the book. So if you then charge people for that service, maybe $4.99 a month, maybe. If someone like myself, perhaps even you, I probably would say that in the past, before the channel, I maybe would buy 2 codexes a year. Sometimes not even that. Maybe.
Well, they only released 2 codexes a year previously.
So, for example, 2 codexes a year. Even at the current release rate, I'd go, okay, I like Eldar, I like Chaos. I wouldn't be, without the channel, I wouldn't be buying loads of codexes. With the channel, I do, because it's nice to know all the rules and sort of stuff for other people's armies and whatever. So, say, for example, 2 codexes a year. If you price pointed it at $4.99 a month, you're basically making the same revenue from the same person, roughly. Now, for those of us out there that will buy more books in a year, yes, you'll make less.
Yeah.
But
the $5 a month revenue stream is going to far outweigh what they make in books, but there's other things to consider as well. So they pay a lot of people to write those books, and they pay a lot of people to do the artwork and all the rest of it, and they have to think about a lot of other things as well. Although, having said that, I think GW finds himself in quite a difficult position with this scenario, with this situation, and it's all of their own making, really.
In what sense, mate?
Well, because if they'd done something, there wouldn't be a BattleScribe.
Yeah.
If they'd already stepped up and realised, if they'd already got involved.
I think there would be, but I just don't think it would be where it is now compared to where GW could be right now.
Yeah, and I think if they'd had a bit more foresight, rather, then they could have avoided the situation and they could be raking in those $5 a month.
Yeah, I do agree. It's tough.
It's easy to say that.
I don't want them to ditch books. I love GW books.
Yeah,
I would still quite happily. Imagine this though, and maybe this is the wrong way to look at it, but imagine they did pay for a service like that, perhaps, and then they still released a codex type book, but instead of any rules in it whatsoever, it was just lore and narrative and images and pictures and perhaps. So I flicked through recently a Age of Sigmar battle tome.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have to say, as someone who's not an Age of Sigmar player, those battle tomes, in my opinion, are so much better value for money than codexes. And the reason for that is they not only give you the lore and the unit rules that they would give you in a codex, and they also give you sort of like chapter specific rules and specific relics and stuff.
Yeah.
They then give you painting guides. They give you battle tactics. They give you formations, all within the one book. Everything's in one book. Everything.
It's a real treatise on that faction.
Yeah. So so at the moment, if you want to play Black Legion Chaos Space Marines, you need the Chaos Space Marine Codex and you need Vigilus Ablaze, really, because Vigilus Ablaze has got all the additional Black Legion stuff in it, plus formations and detachments and stuff. So you're talking 2 books at a cost of around £50 to £60. That then you need an FAQ for both of them as well.
Yeah.
And if you want a painting guide, well, that's not in either of those. You have to go to find a painting guide somewhere or watch Warhammer TV or whatever. It's just a bit wishy-washy all over the place.
Yeah.
Whereas Age of Sigmar, and this is what annoys me the most about it, is 8th edition, as an edition, had the opportunity to be significantly more, and it was already accessible, but significantly more accessible by copying the AOS model of things like battle tomes.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say as well is that at the drop of 8th, these weren't really issues as much.
No, of course.
Because things were a lot simpler.
Yeah, of course.
So again, what we're saying is they would require, GW to have had a fair bit of foresight and known what they were going to do over the nearly 2 years now since drop of 8th.
I mean,
they should have known really what they're going to do. I mean, they had an idea they're going to drop all these codexes, and they knew they were going to be FAQ in them. So.
I will say though, with AOS, if you look at the model, we may be heading in that direction because AOS came out, and then AOS version 1.2 or whatever you want to call it came out afterwards. Maybe we're looking at a
Soul
GW,
Wars,
version 8.1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they streamline this. There's been an interesting comment as well that someone said if all the codexes were fluff based, I'd probably buy all of them. So at that point, you could probably drop the price point of pure fluff based codexes because they haven't got all the rules in them.
Yeah, yeah.
And people might buy more because
buy them as ebooks. Yeah.
Or even as just as books to read on the shelf.
Yeah.
I know people would. I certainly would.
I mean, certainly at the moment, I think I'm probably in the majority. Hopefully here when I say that I've got an iPad. I've got one sat in front of me here and watching the Twitch stream on it. I could buy that enhanced edition. I am. I could buy that enhanced edition codex for my Tyranids, or I can buy the book form, and they're the same price, and I would buy the book every time. And I think the majority of people would feel that way. If the extended edition, the updating enhanced edition, was $5 cheaper than the book, then I think people might buy the electronic one more. I don't know.
It's tough.
I think that's part of the reason why they're the same price.
It's hard, right? I'm always a book person, no matter what.
Well, I think we're the same on that.
I think I would like, one of the reasons why I liked Rich's idea so much of having a ring binder, because I just like pages in my hand. And the other thing with the ring binder idea, I'm going back to this now. The other thing with the ring binder idea, you go to an event, you can actually take out all the chaff you're not going to need. You can remove pages. Don't need that. Not taking that dreadnought. Not taking that land raider. Not taking that troops choice. And I've got a streamlined pack to go to my event for. It's interesting. I think there's definite reasons we haven't seen their app yet.
Yeah,
I think you're 100% right that they don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah,
because if they do, they're in the unit.
They are really, because then they're there with something that people aren't paying for, that they've forked out a load of money for, that's basically dying on its arse.
Yeah,
and they've got to try and fix it in the public eye.
Because I'm looking at an app that, like I said to you before, where I can build like a roster and print it off and keep the stuff. Because I don't like the idea of not being able to print off the stuff and have a pack with me. Yeah. And that's why I like books. And the other thing is with iPads and stuff is batteries die and whatever, So, tough. And again, the other thing is enhanced editions only exists on iBooks.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anywhere else.
That's an issue, definitely. And a bit of a silly one.
If I made the decision next month to come away from Apple and go to Samsung or whoever for my phones and tablets, and I bought all my codexes on extended edition or on an enhanced edition iBooks, I'd be screwed. Yeah, I wouldn't have access to them anymore, and that's negative because some people do like to change up. I've done it before. I've changed up from Apple to Android and back again. Hey. On the whole, I would agree it's more accessible in the beginning. Yeah, I do think I agree with Winters to a point right now.
Yeah, I think go on.
I was just going to say that we're going to take a toilet break. My eyes will go yellow.
Okay.
Right. So
start crying urine.
So we'll be right back on YouTube, and I'll leave you talking to the people on Twitch.
Yeah, cool. Right? Yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah.
But we will be right back. Let me just transition this right now. And we're back after that short break. Thanks for being patient with us. I mean, for YouTube, you're not being that patient, right? Because it just goes off and comes back on again.
Yeah.
No idea. It just transitions. But those of you at Twitch that stayed here chatting to Mikey P, thank you very much.
Yeah.
She's having dramas of the child. He's being defiant. Who knew 2-year-olds could be defiant?
Apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it, mate?
I don't know what you're on about, Mikey P. I don't know what you're on about. Anywho, we have, as you quite rightly pointed out, when I left the room, I don't know if that was on the YouTube part, I think it was, basically talked about bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Now, I do think personally that is a massive part of the accessibility to 40k. Yeah. If you can pick up a single index and a 16-page rulebook and play, That therefore makes it more accessible. If you suddenly need a campaign book and an FAQ and a chapter approved, etc., I think that makes it less accessible. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
agree with you. Yeah, if you've got to pick up lots of books, it's less accessible. Yeah.
However, I do think that to some extent, and I'm going to put that caveat in early. To some extent, the rules are also making it significantly less accessible. And what I mean by that is, when the indexes were a thing, and obviously I know this is still bookkeeping relevant, but when the indexes were a thing, for example, if you were a Space Marine player, you had Space Marines.
Yes.
And they were organised by chapter keyword in the sense that Kaniuga would only affect Ultramarines, but Ultramarines didn't have their own rule. Okay.
Yeah.
Yet now, Ultramarines have a rule, and Salamanders have a rule. So that's layered in a complexity to it straight away. Okay, so you can't now. Well, you can. This is where I'm going to get onto to a certain extent. You can't now necessarily pick up a codex and just play with the models you want. You have to arrange them by their chapter. Or, I mean, a difficult one, for example, is Dark Eldar. Dark Eldar is even more complex with the homunculus covens and the witches and the cabals.
That is largely true. You can still play the game however you want. You can play open play.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Of course you can. And this is something that I think is interesting, because I think this is something that is a legacy thing that exists.
Yeah.
That they've tried to get rid of, and it hasn't really worked.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So legacy was that it was always a match play type environment, and that there was a singular rule set that involved points and detachments, etc. And although they have attempted with open play and narrative play to remove some of that, and some of us play it, we've done it, we've played narrative, me and Brom have played narrative, we've played open war and stuff. There is, I think, a degree of people still play the old point systems and the old... there's people out there that play the old point systems in narrative games because it's just what they know. And of course, if it's what you know and it's what you're used to, why would you change? Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the reality is, I think that the majority of games that are played are a mixture of narrative and matched play.
Yeah, I think so.
Because most people play with points, but they quite like playing narrative play.
Yeah.
So narrative should be with power level, apparently.
Yeah.
But
it should be.
It should be,
but
apparently.
people don't tend to. Okay?
No, that's right. So and that kind of ties in with the whole, it's your 40k, play it the way you want. You know, as long as you agree with your opponent beforehand what you're going to do, you can play extra rules, take rules out, you can do what you like.
Jesse said, I find the vets are ingrained in that old method, and I think he's 100% right. I was one of those. I was certainly ingrained in points, and it was ages before in fact, it was the first ever battle report on Warhammer, was the first time I ever tried power level, genuinely.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I was I was so unsure about power level when we played that battle report that we'd actually compared points at the same time, just to see if it was still there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know.
Well, I think what we know for sure now is that points and power level are not. They're not on the same scale. No, you know, because power level hasn't changed.
So points do their best to balance the armies. Power level relies on you and your opponent balancing it yourselves. Yeah. Okay, to some degree. So power level is for friendly pickup. So there's a lot of people on YouTube, for example, who watch our stuff who hate power level because they say it's inherently imbalanced. Yeah. Now, if I was playing you and I didn't know you, and you turned up to a local GW or something, and you said, I've got 100 power level, and I said, well, I've got 100 power level, and we played, potentially, yes, that could be very imbalanced. Yeah. Right? But if I know you and you know me and we chat about what we're playing before we stick down the 100 power level, you can, I think, between friends, balance it quite well. And it just makes the list building really easy. Just chuck down 100 power.
That is very true. But then what is the point of power level? Because isn't it supposed to be so you can get a quick pickup game?
I don't know.
So isn't part of the idea that you go down to your GW and you go, I've got 100 power level, and someone else goes, oh, I've got 150, but hang on, I can take that 50 out. Here's my 100 power level, let's play.
See, this is interesting actually. I didn't think power level was there for quick pickup games necessarily. I thought power level was there to make the list building process more, funny enough, accessible and easy to understand to new players. So I figured if you come to a GW and I want to have a go at this 40k game, and they say, right, okay, you need to play 50 power level or whatever, and it is a case of, here's a number in the top corner of the data sheet, that's what it costs. Simple as that. Put your list together, off you go play. Yeah. If you said to them, okay, this is the data sheet, and you have to go back to this page, and this is how many points it is per model, and this is how many points his gun is, and this is how many points his left foot is, and this is how people go, whoa, Jesus, admin before we start.
Yeah. Well, so Thomas has said, so is power level for more experienced players?
No,
see, I know what you're saying. I do.
I think power level's done badly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So power level equivalent works for AOS because of what we described earlier.
Yeah.
You have a data sheet. That is the data. You don't have weapon options and grenades and motor bombs and fucking transport upgrades. And you don't have that stuff. You just have a unit.
Yeah, and I think, probably at the outset of 8th, it was less of an issue because they'd obviously spent quite a lot of time in balancing power level as best they could. And there were generally fewer options-ish. There was less variation in what you could take-ish. So it was probably a bit more viable then. But I think power level finds itself in that kind of strange sort of limbo state where it's supposed to be for easy, quick games. Yeah. But as Thomas has sort of pointed out, it requires experience in order to know
how to balance. I also wonder a little bit, perhaps people will shut me down, whether GW have kind of looked at power as a degree of a mistake. And I say that because it's kind of fallen by the wayside. Yeah. Because they balance things by hundreds of points because the balance is so far off, and yet they don't touch the power level.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. They'll balance a Castellan by chucking 100 points on top of its data sheet after it's already had a points hike, but the power level's exactly the same still.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that the points changes don't actually affect the data sheet, but they have also amended wording on data sheets for special rules and stuff. So I was going to say that it's because they don't want to edit the actual data sheet, but that's wrong because they have edited them. Yeah. So ignore that, which I shouldn't have said.
But the thing is, it is interesting that for a hobby that is, I think, honestly, from my perspective, as someone who loves 40k and loves 8th edition, for a hobby that is inherently unbalanced, it seems odd to me that they will work so hard to balance points and rules and then just leave power level alone. Because if I was a new player, and this I think harks back to what Thomas said, if I was a new player who turned up and wanted to play, and I decided to play power level because I thought it was simpler, and I came up against someone whose army had a points hike across the board but they hadn't touched the power level, I'm likely to get my head kicked in, and that probably put me off the game.
Yeah, I agree.
If you get beaten that heavily early.
No, I agree with you. I think it's a strange thing because, it is easier for new people to do things with power level, but as you point out, it's also easier for that to give rise to a situation where they are disenamoured with the game. They have a shit experience because someone whooped their ass because they're using power level, and the person they're playing knew how to abuse power level to win the game. Yeah. And you're always going to encounter those people who just want to win.
And that, again, like I said to you before, this is interesting with the difference between AOS, for example, because AOS's points will be, for example, 100 points for 10 models. And if you have 20 models, you pay 200 points. And if you have 30 models, sometimes they give you a discount and you'll pay 270 points for 30 models because you've got maximum unit size. Yeah. But you can't go up to 11 models or 12 models. And with power level, you might pay 5 power level for a squad of 10 guys or 5 guys.
Or whatever it is.
You might then go up to 6 guys and it will suddenly be 10 power level. Yeah. Even though you've only added 1.
I know.
The balance is really off.
Yeah, it's a very inelegant solution, is the reality. And I think, who was it said? Seabear 43808. Catchy name.
Said.
PL will slowly disappear. I agree. Well, I don't know if it will slowly disappear, but it's on the data sheets. I can't see them taking it off the data sheets, but I don't think they're going to use it. I don't think anyone's really going to use it.
I mean, it's more used at the moment for things like summoning and stuff like that. But I think they may refine it or rework it perhaps in the future. But because I think inherently the way that 40k works with this squad can add 1 model and a melter gun and a grenade, I just don't think it's that. I just stick to points.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I mean, I think maybe if they do an 8.1 or whatever, and they do a bit of a sort of across-the-board reboot or a consolidation of rules, they should probably try and bin off power level, because all they've ended up doing is created another balancing issue for themselves.
So as much as I think that what they did with the Chaos Codex was a massive step forward by bringing out a Chaos version 2, I also think they made a minor cock-up. And what I mean by that is, why would they not, first off, do an 8.1 rulebook and then do a Chaos Codex version 2 and then do a Space Marine Codex version 2 and reset the core rules first with all the new FAQ stuff in and then do the Chaos one? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think 8.1 is on the horizon, to be honest with you. No, not really. I can't see them really making any noise to do it.
We know they're writing 9th edition.
Do we?
Yes.
How do we know that?
Because it's on a Twitch stream. GW official.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there was a Twitch stream on the Warhammer TV Twitch homepage.
Yeah.
This was talked about loads in the SN40k chat on WhatsApp,
Uh-huh.
and one of the designers dropped bollock
Okay.
and leaked 9th edition. And luckily, the interviewer was really clever with the way that he just accepted it and rolled with it, and off he went. And it didn't draw too much attention, but some of the eagle-eyed of us out there did spot it.
Lol.
And he has dropped that they are writing 9th edition, and he spoke about how 9th edition changes the way this works and the way that works and stuff like that. Not a lot of detail. I think he realised very quickly, probably should be talking about this.
Backtrack.
But there is a 9th edition in the works.
Yeah.
We obviously don't know if it's going to come this year or next year or whenever. We don't know.
Yeah, that's right. And it's probably a long way off, I would say.
It's probably a very long way off, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, if
I
it
would
takes
expect
them...
it to be at least a year, if not longer.
Yeah.
Maybe next Warhammer Fest next year. Maybe that will be their big release.
One thing I will say, hopefully it'll be bigger than this year's releases.
One thing I will say is, also talking about this balancing stuff and rule books and codexes and rules and what have you, is they did a GW community survey a little while ago, and they said something like this was not in Twitch and Discord today. There was a lot of feedback about paints and how people are disheartened with how long it takes to paint their armies and what have you.
Yeah.
Now, Contrast has come out. They seem to be really listening to these surveys. So if there's stuff that pisses you off, don't be afraid to put it in. For me and from my personal perspective, don't be a moan if you can't justify your moan.
Yeah.
But if you're not happy about something, I'd quite happily give them negative feedback about how messy the rule system currently is.
Exactly. I mean, don't just sit in your garage on your own, gnashing your teeth and moaning and wailing about it. Yeah. Get on the keyboard and write them an email and make it a nicely worded, concise, email that actually gets your point across in an adult fashion. And I say adult, I mean grown up. I don't mean erotic.
Okay.
Sadly, as much as I'm sure they'd love to receive all that fan porn fiction. But yeah, just talk to them about it. Tell them.
So they've got better at leaning on the community a little bit more. They've included the guys at Frontline Gaming. They've included a lot of big YouTubers, people like Winters and Tabletop Tactics and stuff like that. It does interest me that they are including more of the community. Yeah. But I wonder perhaps if they should lean on the community a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't mean complete. I don't mean like.
Go on. What do you mean? Go on.
I just
flesh that idea out a bit.
The sort of talk that we're chatting about now, is inherent in 8th edition 40k. There's not an event or a venue I go to where people aren't happy to talk about this kind of topic, and most people have an issue with the complexity as it currently is compared to where it started. I mean, Winters will talk about this for hours and how much he just detests the new. I don't know what they're called. They're not formations, but the something detachments, specialist detachments, whatever they're called.
They are called formations, aren't they?
No, I think they're called specialist detachments. I think they avoided the word formations on purpose because of Seven.
Fine.
And he will talk for hours about it because he really dislikes them, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And this will go on. I mean, I'll go on to a point in a minute about that, but for now, we'll put a pin in it. He hates them. He'll talk about them forever. I can go up to Hellstorm and talk about the rules, and they'll say that it's a mess. And I can go to SN and Gibraltar and talk about the rules, and they'll say that they're a bit of a mess at the moment, in my view. And they are a bit of a mess, right? But what they do is they give their rules out to playtesters within the community, and they sometimes ignore the feedback. We know that because we've been told it. Okay, and they give out previews of codexes and stuff to the community, to people like Winters and stuff like that. And to Tabletop Tactics and all the big, the big
the playtesters, right?
What interests me, right, is they give those out. How much of them do you think actually watch the reviews and take that in? Because I would guess, and I'm guessing that they'll watch them to ensure there's no major infringements on things like the
well, they clearly don't, because Striking Scorpion gets away with it all the time.
Well,
anyway, moving on.
I know Winters had a slap on the hand, so
yes,
so they clearly watch some of them. So they clearly do maybe skim them to make sure that there's no breach of NDA or breach of agreement.
Yeah.
However, I wonder how much of them actually listen to the direct feedback, because it would be very, very interesting if those books were rough printed in like A4 off of a work printer and binded format and sent out to someone early, months in advance. Read that, what do you think? And they go, it's a bit naff. I mean, you can't take one person's. So if you get genuine feedback from the majority of people that say this codex is a bit weak compared to what we've seen so far. I mean, it's hard because when you start, there will be no reference point. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know it's difficult.
I mean, it's difficult because it's like at what stage do you bring in the collaboration with the community? Is what you're saying, isn't it, really? And
I would bring it in earlier.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So and the it was mentioned in the chat here again. Sieber 43808. Isn't it too late because they give them the actual codex book? Too late.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Yeah, I get that.
It's definitely too late by the time there's something in the actual codex. What I'm saying is, print a version that isn't the codex months before you're planning to release it. You're heavily relying on your NDAs and stuff, but it's quite simple. If you breach the NDA, you pull the plug. It's it's not hard. But I would get these beta versions out really early on, or the beta version not just pulled off of Jack, which is what he's called him, John, and say read that. Winters, when the AdMech Codex came out, Winters is a massive AdMech fan. And one thing I genuinely, honestly, really, really respected him for is when the AdMech Codex came out and he did his review on YouTube, he didn't say, new AdMech Codex is really good, thanks GW. He went, this is crap.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Disappointing.
Yeah. And a lot of people got on his back a little bit because he came across as really salty. But I love the fact that he gave that an honest review. And I would love to believe that GW watched that honest review and went, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it speaks to Winter's integrity that he would do that. That's good. He should totally do that. People should always do that. Be thought out in your constructive feedback.
Constructive is key.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just go, no, this is shit. Which he didn't do. He did it properly, so that's good. It's difficult. I mean, who's to say that someone didn't watch what Winters said and said, oh, there's no transport? And it's taken until Warhammer Fest to release the new AdMech transport.
Of course, that's possible.
And that's the sort of delay,
I don't know if they are doing this or not, but there is a lot of feedback that they get on things like their Facebook pages about the state of the rules. Darren's in the chat at the moment talking about how he's basically trying to talk John in from Visicast into playing again.
Yeah.
And although Visicast probably won't return, John's thinking about picking the rules up. And I watched, having been friends with John on Facebook because that proves you're popular.
Yeah.
I watched him ask Warhammer a question, going, "What the hell do I need to play the game? Where do I start?" because he doesn't know.
Yeah. And
so he's a returning player who played a lot of 7th edition. Me and John went to 7th edition tournaments together. We filmed loads for Visicast on 7th edition, so did Darren. We played a lot of 7th edition. He's coming back to 8th edition, supposedly a significantly simpler edition of 40k, and he's on the Warhammer community Facebook page going, where on earth do I start?
Well, he's missed the simple boat, and he's down the river now, and
that's the concern, right? That's the concern.
Yeah,
it's almost like that if you joined at the start of 8th edition, you hit the simple version and you hit the easily accessible.
Yep.
And as long as you were there then and you roll with the punches as the edition's grown, you know where you are. So I know where I am now in 8th edition because I've been here since the start and I've watched all the releases and I've watched the community releases and read the community pages and stuff.
Yeah.
However, if you now come back to 8th edition right now, thank God YouTube exists. Because you can come to channels like us, TTT, Winters, Hellstorm, Striking Scorpion, and on even Mini Wargaming, people like that. And on the whole, they will do a relatively good job of explaining to you what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And what is the rules that you're currently using in that battle report. Because if you didn't have that, imagine not having YouTube. How many people in Discord have said to us, played years ago, found battle reports, and I found Winters, and I found Warhammer, and I found TTT, and I started watching them, and now I'm playing the game again.
Yeah.
So if that didn't exist, if you stripped away that YouTube thing, thank God GW are supporting it rather than going shut you down.
Yeah.
If you stripped away that YouTube thing and said come back to 8th edition now, how many people do you think at this point in time would go, this is easy to pick up, let's go for it?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said, basically. I learned to play this game by watching back reps.
Yeah.
And then when I actually came to play a game with yourself, pretty much, straight off the bat, it was, right, fill in the gaps. And that made it easier for you to teach me because I need to know things like deployment because you don't show that on back reps because it's dull and it's long-winded, right? But, the rolling of dice and how to figure out what you need to roll, that's the sort of thing you learn from back reps. And, it's incredibly naive of GW to think they can release a rule book and that the community will learn how to play just from the rule book. It just doesn't work like that. And that's why they spent weeks and months of intensive training with all their GW staff in all their stores saying, right, you're going to have to do lots of demo games.
Yeah.
And they make their core set specifically to include a few different units so you have a good wide variety of different things to play. So that when they give it to their store people, they can do a good run through of the game and teach people how to play. I hesitate to say no one can learn from reading a book, learn how to play a game that's complicated. But I don't think I know anyone who would be able to just read the book and then play the game. You need someone to show you how.
I mean,
and bat reps do that fantastically well.
People like myself and Winters with 8th edition did do that. We did read the book and fumble our way through the first couple of games. But what you needed is someone who was at the same point in time as you, to sort of fumble with it through it together.
Yeah,
and 8th edition. I mean, when you compare 8th to 7th, 8th edition was certainly much easier to read the book and fumble through it.
Yeah,
as a core edition at the start.
Yeah.
Okay. 7th edition is a core edition at the start with the codexes. If you did that with that one, I think you would really struggle. I think you'd find it really, really hard. 8th edition I found significantly easier, but I needed someone who was with me at that same time to fumble through it at the same time.
Sure.
What I'm saying is, if you come back to that hobby right now, at this point in 8th edition, when you've got 8th edition and you've got a chapter approved 2017, so John was confused. Do I need to buy chapter approved 2017, 2018? Because it's not clearly defined that 17 is now useless and 18 is all you need.
Well, yeah.
So 17's not useless because there's missions and stuff.
Yeah, there is stuff you can use, but you're quite right in terms of the validity of the points costs and the new rules and beta rules or whatever that were introduced within that tome. They are now effectively obsolete.
Because 2017 chapter approved included points changes.
Yeah.
2018 chapter approved included points changes, and what they didn't really well advertise was that it also included 17's points changes.
Yes,
and you don't need the points changes for 17 anymore.
That's right.
And therefore they're just missions, and it annoys me a little bit that with 2017, at the point in which that a lot of that book became null and void because the points changes were included in 18, why didn't they, for example, stick the missions on the website as a downloadable PDF?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. And I think they should certainly do that. I think you should send them an email right now to tell them in a very nice way and very concise and well thought out and worded email to say they should do exactly that.
Well, I think today we went over 9,300 subs on YouTube, so we're 700 subs away from them listening to me anyway.
Whoa.
But yeah. And I'm sure I'll go, right, now I've got your attention, and I'll go, shut up.
They go, oi, shut it. We send you stuff, yeah? Don't give us no shit,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's pretty much exactly what happened in that voice and that accent.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough, right? I think if you are a new player, but the one thing, the caveat I'll put in, this is where I think it's really poorly advertised, publicised, whatever. The caveat that I'll put in is when you come back now to 8th edition, you actually don't have to use Chapter 3 2018 or the FAQ.
No.
You don't have to.
No, you don't know.
Okay. And this is the interesting part, right? Is that you can come back to 8th, pick up the same core rulebook that existed when it started, and play the game. Now, I don't know if indexes are still available. I don't know if you can still buy those. I don't think you can.
Don't know, actually. Interesting. Not sure.
Let's have a quick look whilst we're talking.
I'll look at it.
But you can come back to 8th edition now with just using the rulebook, and you can essentially play as if 8th had just launched. Apart from, there's probably more support out there because other people have played it for the last 2 years.
I mean, I think it's difficult because it's very difficult to be playing the up to date. You can still buy them.
This is a shame.
I know. Yeah, you can still buy them.
What? You can only buy one.
Oh yeah.
So the shame of it is, and this is a crying shame, right? So on the website, on the GW website, all you can buy at the moment is Index Imperium 2.
Yeah.
Probably because if I look at it, it includes
Talons of the Emperor.
It must be Talons of the Emperor. Yeah, it must be Sisters of Silence, etc.
Yeah.
So you can only buy Index 2 now, and that's
there
a
you
crying
go.
shame. Why are the first indexes? Why are the first indexes not still down? Even if they now go, okay, we're now past the wave of new stuff, right? So let's put indexes on the website as downloadable content for free. They do it with Sigmar.
Yeah.
You can download battle tomes on Sigmar for free. Why aren't they doing it? Why is it the 8th edition team with 40k and the Sigmar team seem to work in different buildings?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things on Sigmar that work well that you could employ with 8th edition without changing it to be too much Sigmar. And there's so many things with 8th edition that should work well in Sigmar without changing it to be too much 8th edition. They'd still be very separate worlds, very separate realms, very separate environments, different armies, different way the game plays because of things like being able to upgrade with a pistol and a gun and what have you. But there's just, I don't understand how they haven't learned that the Sigmar battle tomes are better than the 40k ones. Well, they haven't learned that with 40k you could download rules for free and it wouldn't kill it. People were still going to... Because what it does is it gives you... You go, right, here's an index, okay? Here's Imperium 1. Have a look at the stuff in there. Try it. You like it? Well, you're going to need to buy the codex. But it's a teaser. It's like giving people 3 days free in Discord. It's a teaser, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yes. It's a complicated subject, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it is very complicated, and that's the point. My question is, does it need to be that complicated right now? I think they have the opportunity to tidy it up.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're not doing that very well.
Well, one thing I'm going to say here, which is to sort of get off their back a little bit, is that as we know from the delayed Sylvaneth release, they have issues getting books to print.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Is that what that's about?
Yes. So they can't get any new books to print at the moment, and that's why Sylvaneth Battle Tome, the new one, the updated one, has been delayed because they can't physically get them made.
I didn't know that.
And over here, I don't know whether it's they can't get them made or they can't get them here, on a boat or whatever, on a plane or wherever. They can't get them transported here. But that when that was queried in the previews again at Warhammer Fest, it was, how long is it? And the answer was, we don't know.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, so it
could
be months. Yeah, so the release of version 2 of the CSM Codex, there's also been confirmation there will be an Adeptus Astartes version 2. So we can assume from that there will be version 2's released of all those codexes, but they may be some time off because of the issues. Trump tariffs are affecting import of books to USA.
I'm assuming, I was about to say, and he's already confirmed, I'm assuming they're printed abroad. That's a shame.
China, they're printed in China, yeah.
It's a shame that they're not printed UK.
Well, yeah,
that could potentially solve that problem.
Yeah, cost prohibitive, I suppose.
I assume it's significantly cheaper to print abroad, of course. That's why businesses do it, right? It makes sense.
Maybe they should just make them, electronic editions.
Well, interestingly, Mikey Brom works for printers.
Yeah.
So
let's look them up.
Let's GW go to Hobbs the Printers in Totten and then problem solved.
Sorted.
Yeah, and we'll get codexes printed in Totten. Amazing.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Hot off the press.
Do you know how you solve the print issue?
Go on.
You go to a Battlescribe type electronic subscription service.
Yeah, totally.
That we spoke about. We have solved your GW problem before I even knew it existed.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So I have considerable sympathy for them at the moment, because they have this issue with printing in China.
Please don't get me wrong, people of YouTube and Mikey P and people of Twitch. I'm not hating on GW. I sympathise with them every day because it is to keep it interesting for the experienced players. For example, it is an incredibly complex process to balance 40k, to keep everybody happy, and to streamline a rule set to keep it simple. Yeah, it's so hard.
And there are things that annoy us that GW do, but by and large, we at Moorhammer, I think I'm right in saying this, we are big GW fanboys. When we do these talks and we talk about things and issues, we have to provide a balanced viewpoint in order to have a decent discussion about it. So we have to do a bit of hating on GW, but that's not necessarily how we genuinely feel in the cold light of day. Yeah,
but we do that about. You can do that about anyone. You can hate on anyone without being, rude about it or necessarily hating them.
Yeah, while still being constructive.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, totally.
And this wouldn't be a good discussion show if we went, they're doing a great job. Yeah, sweet. That the shortest podcast ever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I just think, one of the reasons why I get so het up about some of the things they do. So I think that they are, with the way they do their codexes currently, I think they're massively behind the curve for 40k. And I do think they do it better with Age of Sigmar, and I still think Age of Sigmar is behind the curve. But when you consider Age of Sigmar has a subscription-based app already, Age of Sigmar gives a battle tome with painting and formations and stuff already, and Age of Sigmar gives you free downloadable rules already.
Yeah.
We've just spoke about all that for 40k. So they've proven, as a business model, that they can do it, because they do it for AOS. However, one of the reasons why I get so het up about it isn't just because they're not doing what I want necessarily, but because I'm so passionate about this hobby and this community and how well it's done over the last 12 to 24 months that I would hate it if for essentially poor business decisions or playing it safe.
Yeah.
They then lost all these customers.
Being risk averse, yeah.
And the business then started to struggle.
Yeah, and because we know they can do better.
Yeah.
Because
we
believe that they can do or be better or that, they can repair these things and,
Yeah, and I think they can do better, and there is a risk in the way that they're currently going with 8th. There is a risk in not only it becoming too complex to continue to draw new players in, and that new player influx will tail off, but that it could also become a bit stale and a bit too 7th edition, and that will put people off who have returned, who said 7th was a mess, I avoided it, and they might go, okay, you're going back to where you were. So you pull us back in and you go back to where you were. Yeah, Leopards never changed their spots, etc. I do think they have. I think they have changed their spots. I think they're in such a stronger position than they ever have been. I think their interaction with the community, with YouTube channels, with Facebook, with Warhammer TV, I think their ability just to take the piss out of themselves is incredible.
They are so self-aware now.
Yes.
All the stuff that they've done with releases, contrast paints, all the videos they've done, all the tongue-in-cheek kind of mad professor style things, that's all them taking a piss out themselves a bit, and being aware of themselves.
They started that really, really early on in 8th edition when there was some leaked sprues and stuff, and they did the very first videos with them rooting around bins or something like that. Was one of the very first ones they did on Warhammer TV, and it went down so well. They went, oh, people like that.
Yeah.
And they've stuck to it, and they've done an excellent job of taking the piss out themselves.
Yeah.
And I think any business who's prepared to go, we're human. We'll always be more successful than one that's not.
Yeah, and I think to wind it back onto topic again, I think that makes the company more accessible.
100%.
People can relate more closely to it, and they realise that it's not all serious, and I don't have to be super serious about this because the company themselves are taking a piss out themselves.
It's not, and again, it's not just about the fact that they're prepared to take the mick. It's about the fact that people watch their interaction on media platforms such as Facebook.
Yeah.
And they are, with the way they reply to some comments, which is often quite humorous, they are more, because people they feel like they can have a joke and a laugh with them. And, you're not just emailing a corporate email and waiting 2 days for a response.
Yeah.
You're talking to people on Facebook, social media, and they've got social media managers and social media staff members.
And the tone they're setting is more accessible. So they're saying that, you can come and talk to us and we'll have a chat.
Yeah.
And that makes both themselves as a company less impenetrable, and it makes the games therefore seem easier because you can think, well, I'm not really sure about that. Can I ask a question? And you'll get it answered.
And it becomes a more chill out with your mates type vibe.
Yeah.
Rather than I can't get anything wrong. I'm playing chess in front of thousands of people type vibe. Thousands of people watch chess, probably not.
No, not anymore.
But you get what I'm saying. It's significantly more chilled out and relaxed and less sort of het up and tense. And even 8th edition. Now, when you compare 8th to 7th as a core rule set, categorically the most successful edition I've ever played, and I've played most of them. I've played 2nd or 3rd edition, not really. 4th and 5th a fair amount. 6th and 7th loads. 8th is the easiest one to pick up and play that I've ever played. So in terms of the overall question we're asking, yes, it's the significantly most accessible version. But when you make it so chilled out and relaxed that people feel like they can ask questions, because 8th is still daunting, and that's although it's the most accessible it's ever been, 40k is still a complex game.
Absolutely, of course it is.
When you compare it to some of the gaming systems out there, or even simple, if we want to go really simple, things like chess and checkers. It's a complex game.
Yeah, I mean, we try and explain elements of it, even just elements of the lore, to our wives, and we'll probably do that in a little while. I expect over a short, short conversation. But it's a very complex thing.
I've got news for you. When we went for the toilet break, they hadn't even started filming their podcast or recording their podcast yet.
Oh, it probably won't
You're
happen
probably
then.
in here for a while now.
Oh, am I? All right. Yeah. Either that or it won't happen. But yeah, it's a difficult universe to penetrate. It's a difficult game to pick up and learn. Even though it is easier than it's ever been, I truly believe it is easier than it's ever been. Certainly easier for me. It is still tough.
Now the caveat that I said before, when I said we'll put a pin in it and come back to it, this is a discussion I've had with Winters directly.
Yeah.
And something that I stand by. Yes, currently it's core rules is the easiest edition. Yes, currently, if you look at Vigilus Ablaze, attachments, new codexes, FAQs, chapter approved, designer's commentary, that then makes it, I think, relatively complex and convoluted.
I agree.
However, like I said to Winters, and this was something that I really want to drive home to people. You don't have to play Vigilus Ablaze. You don't have to play the latest chapter approved missions. You don't have to play the designer's commentary. You can pick up the core 8th edition rulebook and just play that.
Yes, you can.
The difficulty, obviously, is that if you're going to a local gaming store or something, or to your local 40k, your local Warhammer shop, there's a possibility that if you're going for a pickup game, potentially he's going to want to play all the new toys. However, I'm sure if you were going to find a local gaming store on Facebook or Google, if you were joining like our Discord and you found you were near a couple of Warhammer patrons, and you said, I'm a new returner, I just want to play the core rulebook, I don't know many people that are going to go, no.
This year I've played at least 2 people who are newly returning to the game. Either I think playing it pretty much for the first time ever, and then returning after being away from, played maybe 5th and 6th, and then was away for 7th and come back. I've played 2 people this year, and it's quite straightforward to have a game with them. You don't include all the bells and whistles. Maybe you don't include warlord traits and relics, because you just want to do a quick, this is how the mechanics of the game play. But you can still have fun playing that.
Yeah, of course.
And one thing I was going to say as well, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, but, I'm waiting for you to talk.
Yeah, it's just to say that if you aren't sure about something, it is now easier than it has ever been to get the answer to any questions you might have.
Yeah.
Certainly if you remember our Discord, it's very easy indeed. You post a question, and within probably about a minute, someone will be on there going, this is the answer, or hang on a sec, I'll find out and I'll come back to you. And they'll give you a screenshot from the FAQ or a data sheet or something.
Our Discord is amazing for that, to be fair.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell it, but almost any time, day or night, you can post a question on there, and within minutes sometimes, people will probably get back to you.
As Richie just pointed out, that person replying will be Ridley. Yes, it will, because the man does not sleep.
No, yeah. But and people are trying to make a joke of it in the chat, but I'm deadly serious. If you're a new player and you were local to me and you said, look, mate, I want to learn the game, can I come play? I just want to play the core rules, basics. I would happily strip my list right back to core rules and play core rules.
Yeah, totally.
And I wouldn't do it so I could cheese Ynnari as they were pre-nerfs or Cassell as they were pre-nerfs, because that doesn't help the person who's trying to... And I want to have more players. I'm not going to do something that's going to put someone off by going, yes, I'll play pre-nerfs, have all this. But what I'm saying is that if people search out their local gaming stores or their local gaming clubs or discords like ours, and they find people that are local and they say, I want to play core rules because I'm trying to learn the game, I don't know many people out there who will actually take that as an opportunity to kick the back doors in. They're more likely to take it as an opportunity to go, I'm teaching a new player here, and he could potentially be a regular opponent for me, and it's someone else in the hobby to talk to about, because that's the common ground we all have with each other.
Yeah.
Discord has got people in Germany and Serbia and America and Ireland and Northern Ireland and Australia and New Zealand.
Finland.
Genuinely everywhere, right? We've got people absolutely everywhere in that Discord. And the common ground that we all have is 40k. So why would you, if someone came to me and said, I want to learn the rules, so let's strip it back to basics if you don't mind, because this person's a slow learner, maybe this person hasn't played for a long time, whatever. No one, I think, anywhere out there genuinely is going to go, oh, cool, sweet, I can really tear it apart here. They're just not going to
rubbing their hands together, yeah.
So as much as I do think it is the most complex edition, I think if you're in the right group of people, it is still the most accessible it's ever been.
And even if you're not in the right group of people, you can ask a question on GW's Facebook page and they will come back to you pretty quickly. If not, other people
really good,
will come back to it as well.
When John asked the question about rule books and chapter approved, GW weren't the first people to reply to him. Someone else random was, who told him it all, and he went, oh, thanks very much, mate. Gave him it. This is how you need, this is what you need.
Yeah.
Really
because
good.
There's a lot of people out there who care and who just want more people to be involved with this hobby that they love, and they want to share the love. And sure, there are some keyboard warriors out there, or rules or narrative Nazis, who just want to win every game and all the rest of it. But most people out there are genuinely nice people who just want to share their hobby with other people.
Yeah, I mean, those people do exist, and I think that they tend to be in the minority, in my experience anyway.
Yeah, I agree, completely agree.
It can be tough sometimes if you join a local gaming club or store. I've heard of a couple of people in the States who've had this experience, and that club is a relatively well-established club, and they may have had themselves a little arms race, for example. And if you turn up with your fluffy list in the middle of their arms race, that can be tough. But I think if you were to explain to them, this is me, this is where I'm coming from, this is my level, I think a lot of them would probably go, okay, well, you're not for this arms race right now. But, you know, I just think people are much, much more keen to pull players into this edition, which is another thing that makes it more accessible, is that people are more keen to, like we said right at the start, it's not so much of a secret hide in the corner club anymore.
No, that's right.
There's a
much
gaming
more
club,
inclusive.
I don't know where it is. There's a gaming club that one of the guys is involved in the SN chat, and they literally set up in a Costa Coffee Cafe. They set up tables in a Costa.
Really?
And that's where the gaming club is held.
That's cool.
That's what I mean. It's no longer in a shed somewhere with the lights turned down and hope no one hears us. And for some people, it's never been that. But it's so much less that now that I think people are more inclined to help new players and go, come and join the fun. Because it's fun.
Yeah.
On the whole.
So Richie's put in chat here, my first game at my local club was versus Law 32, Castellan and Blood Angels. I got smushed. Yeah, you're in the wrong club, mate.
Yeah.
You're doing it all wrong, yeah?
Either that or your personality is such that they
your first game should have been against 4D.
To be fair, knowing him the way he is, they probably spoke to him for a bit and went, right, I tell you what, let's not have him back.
This guy needs to be taken down a peg or two.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
Richie.
Totally.
Please don't leave. But yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? Those people do exist, unfortunately. Not on the whole. There's people that, whatever sport or hobby you go enjoy, and you're going to find those people. Yeah. They exist everywhere.
Yeah.
There'll be that person that has to cheat to win or has to do everything he can to, you know.
Totally.
Computer games.
Oh,
computer games is one of the biggest markets in the world, right? And someone said right at the beginning that one of the reasons why tabletop gaming is becoming more popular is because computer games are becoming worse. And I would agree. And I think on the whole, a lot of computer game creating companies are becoming what I would probably describe as money hungry, and that is directly resulting in a decline in quality of game because they're either planning them out too fast or they're becoming pay to win or whatever.
You release them in beta version and never actually get finished.
And what I will say is that you've got games out there, massive titles, things like your Call of Duties and your Battlefields and stuff like that, and they are games that are millions in development. Some of them have had bigger funding pots than certain blockbuster movies. You end up with sales all over the place for an expensive game, and there will always be that guy who will log on and will activate or create some sort of cheat so he can be invincible. You know,
find an exploit.
Can you tell that I don't play that many games?
He's speaking a language he doesn't understand.
You know, I mean, I used to, but I don't get a chance anymore. But you will always get the trolls online who are quite clearly cheating.
Yeah, totally.
And companies like DICE and what have you, who run these games like Battlefield, have to work their absolute nuts off to try and stop that from happening and try and get rid of those people who have these cheat codes on that make them do all kinds of things that you're not supposed to be able to do in the game. And basically, what they do is they ruin other people's experiences. Now, and this is where it relates to 40k for me. I will never understand why those people do that. Because surely they're not having the most fun they can have because they're not strictly being challenged at all.
No, I think it's just if I can answer that, the obvious answer to me, or the first thing that pops into my head anyway, is self-esteem issues. Very, very small penises.
If I could put on you staying in, screw
it's in there.
But you get what I'm saying there, right? So
yeah, totally.
If you've bought this game for £50 because it's Battlefield, or you've paid hundreds of pounds for models or whatever you've done, how can you honestly get any self-gratification about taking a newbie or someone who's not played 40k before, or someone who's new into Battlefield or whatever, and absolutely steamroll them by essentially cheating? Now, I'm not saying that Loyal 32 and Castellans are cheating, but it was considered an exceptionally powerful, cheesy win at all costs. We covered this in the last podcast.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary.
And if you've got a new player, if I had a new player and I had a case full of stuff, there's two things I would do. If someone like Richie came up to me and go, this is my first game in 8th edition, okay? Option one, if I had the choice, is, okay, this isn't the list for you. I'm going to tone it right down. Yeah. And I'm not going to take the Smash Captains.
I'm going to take the Castellan and Smash Captains out. I'm just going to put in a couple of Lehman Russes. And
Guard's still pretty strong.
Yeah.
Option two is to say to him, I don't have another list. You're better off playing someone else.
Yeah, or just saying, well, I don't know, how about this then? I'm going to kick your back doors in, mate. That's how it's going to happen. How about I get rid of the Castellan and I'll just play with a points disadvantage?
Yeah.
Because if all we're going to do is teach them the mechanics of the game, and let's be honest, the first game with someone, all you're going to be able to do is show them the mechanics of the game.
Do you know, in all seriousness, you say that about I'll just drop the castellan and nerf myself. There was some comments on my most recent battle report against Winters with Grey Knights.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about, you don't see Grey Knights fielded because they're quite weak, etc., etc., etc. And this conversation started between a couple of the viewers on the webpage, and one person was saying that his experience against Tyranids with Grey Knights was so negative that him and his friend were going to play another game the next night, and they were skewing it by 500 points or something. So the Grey Knight player was getting given 2,500 points, and the Nid player only 2,000 points.
Yeah.
And the other person said, let me know how you get on. And he came back a couple of days later, so we played that game, and I still lost with 2,500 points of Grey Knights against Nids, but it was much closer.
Yeah.
They're self-balancing there, right? Because Grey Knights are so rubbish.
Yeah.
They're basically discounting all the Grey Knight points across the board.
Yeah, and Grey Knights are pretty pants. I mean, they've got some good units.
But you've got two friends there, and he wants to play Grey Knights because that's what he loves, okay? Yeah. And his friend's gone, okay, if we play balanced points 2,000 to 2,000, I'm going to beat you 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So let's not do that. Let's self-balance. Let's find out a sweet spot whereby it's then relatively equal, and that's what we'll play. And that's the equivalent to taking a Castellan out of your list and going,
totally.
I'm going to drop this 500-point model.
And it's probably not going to look that much different on the table either, really, is it?
No.
So all the Grey Knight player's going to get is maybe 1 or 2 extra squads, and then that's it.
Yeah, a couple of single mortar and smites.
Yeah, that's it. And then the Nids are still going to outnumber him like 3-1.
I shouldn't rip them, to be honest, because of the result of that battle. No, I won't spoil it.
All right, yeah, don't do that. There'll be lots of anger.
Bloody Winters.
Yeah, bloody Winters.
Bloody Winters. I can say that as well because I know he'll watch this.
Good. Bloody Winters.
But he's someone who is a massive fan of the newest version of 40k and who's been a huge advocate for 8th edition.
Yeah.
And he is someone who hates things like Vigilus and Vigilus Ablaze.
Yeah.
And I don't, maybe hate's the wrong word. I don't think they've done that in a way that has made it easy for people. Yeah,
I agree with you. It's a difficult thing because there's different people playing the game. So some people want complexity because there are some people who want the game to more closely mimic real life physics and mechanics.
I would go as far as to say one of the points that I did argue with him about is these detachments. Okay. They require command points to do.
They do.
So you don't just get them for free like 7th edition.
No, there is a cost.
Points. Now, when 8th edition dropped, there was 3 stratagems. Okay? You had counter-offensive, 2 command points, interrupt a fight. You had reroll for a single command point. You had auto-passing morale. The same bravery for 2 command points. Okay? 3 stratagems, totaling 2, 2, and 1 command points. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't understand personally how having the ability to spend... So take Brom. He loves using veteran intercessors because it does give him a lot of punch that I think Marines need.
Yes.
So let's take those. Let's take not what they're called. Something veterans, Indomitus veterans. That's
yeah.
Or Indomitus Crusaders. So he's paying a single command point to gain access to the bonus keyword. And then he pays another command point to make a squad veterans. So he spends 2 command points and he gets a squad of 10 as veterans. Okay, that's it. 1 squad veterans, 2 CPs. Now, how is that any different to 3 pages of stratagems in a Space Marine book?
Well, it's in addition to 3 pages of stratagems.
It is an addition, but you're adding essentially a 2 command point stratagem to 3 pages of stratagems that already exist.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's not so much that anything is more complicated. There's just more of it. So there's more things to know, more things to try and keep up with.
But what I'm saying is they've already done that with stratagems.
Yeah.
So stratagems went from 3 that everybody could use to suddenly I can play a game against... There's games I've played against people who have pulled out... for example, I played Genius of the Cults. Andy Burns' Genius of the Cults, right? Cracking bloke, lovely player, no complaints there. However, I don't know the army very well. And I was just about keeping up and he does things with stratagems and I go, what is that? Because it's just another layer that I don't understand.
Yes, totally.
And I'm not criticising. No, not at all. Because I like stratagems. But what I'm saying is I don't see how the Vigilus detachments are all that different to stratagems.
I mean, you're preaching to the converted because I don't have an issue with them either. I mean, the thing is, they introduce additional pages. So more information that people have to absorb and understand and then take with them to a tournament.
So picture this, okay? Because I completely agree with what you've just said.
Yeah.
So picture this. The Space Marine Codex came out a year and a half ago. So let's pretend
Say 18 months,
Let's pretend when that dropped, all the new promotional models were already out, etc. And let's pretend that in that book, you had your 3 pages of stratagems that they've currently got, and in addition to that was this extra stratagem for 2 CPs that made a squad of 10 intercessors and dominators veterans.
Yeah.
And the Warlord trait was in the Warlord traits, and the relic was in the relics. Would people then complain that you're overcomplicating for one more stratagem, one more relic, one more Warlord trait? I'd suggest no.
No, they wouldn't, no. I don't think so. And yeah, again, it's because
it's the way
they've got to take another document with them.
It's the way they've done it, 100%.
But again, having said that, when they released the Adeptus Astartes Codex, they maybe didn't know they were going to do Vigilus or didn't know what was going to be in it. They hadn't written it yet.
Of course.
So the version 2...
And this, for me, is the cock-up with version 2 of the Chaos Space Marine Codex, because they did this little flowchart, and I like... This is more accessible. Flowcharts. Does it exist in the index? Yes. Has it got a codex entry? Yes. Use a codex entry. No. Use the index entry, etc. People can follow those flowcharts and go, okay, that's what I use. Fine.
Most
easy.
of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But of course, on the whole.
Some of them end up going
around in circles. When the Chaos book dropped, when the new Chaos Codex version 2 dropped, similar thing happened. Flowchart. Do I already have the Chaos Codex? Yes. What do I need? Just get Vigilus Ablaze, you'll be fine. You don't need anything else. Not entirely true, but yeah, okay. Do I get if I get the Chaos Codex, etc., etc., etc. If you get Chaos Codex version 2, which I have, you still need Vigilus Ablaze for all the Black Legion stratagems, for the Black Legion Warlord traits, for the Black Legion relics, for all the Renegade chapters.
Etc., etc.
That, for me, is a cock-up. Again, put it in one book. If all that stuff had gone into the Chaos Space Marine Codex, I honestly believe, and people might tell me that I'm wrong, I honestly believe there'd be less complaints about it.
But you know why they've done it, right?
Money making.
Yeah, and that's why people are complaining, I think. Well, there's two sides to it. People are complaining because I've got to take another book. I've got another book I've got to carry around in my rucksack, and I'm going to be, have a bent back by the time I've done, all the taunts I'm going to do in the next 6 months. But what they should have done, I think personally, is they should have waited a little bit before they released the CSM Codex, and it should have had all that stuff in it.
Yeah.
The thing is, they released it right on top of Vigilus Ablaze, and that meant that if they'd put all that information into the Chaos Space Marine Codex version 2, they'd have sold loads of CSM 2s and hardly any Vigilus Ablazes. So they deliberately didn't do that. They made you buy Vigilus Ablaze if you wanted the Black Legion stuff, which of course you do, because that's where the new models are coming from.
So I personally, now this is my personal opinion rather than what I think the sort of general public would rather have. Personally, I would happily have had Vigilus Ablaze as a campaign book that had detachments and formations in it, and maybe new missions like it does. But I still would like the Renegade chapters and the Black Legion stuff to be in the Codex. That's for me where the cock up is. The Renegade chapter rules and detachments and relics and stuff, and the Black Legion rules and relics and stratagems and stuff.
Yeah,
they should have been in the Codex. They're a Codex thing. So when I play Black Legion on the channel with the Slaughter, and I want to run some of the Black Legion specific stratagems and Black Legion specific Warlord traits and relics, I have to have a book that's that big.
Yeah.
Just for essentially 3 pages.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not running any detachments at all, or any specialist formations, or whatever you want to call them. And I think that for me that was a mistake. And the thing is, I understand genuinely both sides of the coin. I understand why GW are doing it in order to make money. I get that. We have to remember they're a business. We have to remember that if they don't make any money, they'd cease to exist. That's how business works. If people don't make money from things, businesses don't work. Deployment Zone stops making any money at all. It becomes significantly harder for Winston and I to justify putting the time into the battle reports. It's unfortunate. Yeah. It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
If I went to work every day, 5 days out of 10 a week, or 5 days out of 7 a week, sorry, and I know,
quick maths,
and I didn't get paid for it.
Yeah.
Where would I go?
Yeah,
so GW have got to make money, but on the same side, you're talking about a business whose success in the last 12 to 24 months is such that their business's status has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Do they need to squeeze us for every single penny?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, so one of the things is that, I mean, there's a comment here in there from Dats and Des. I have to carry 4 books and FAQ stuff, rule book, etc., etc., etc. A lot of stuff. It's really frustrating. I get that. It is frustrating. However, yeah, you just need to photocopy the pages, and then Darren's just come and said that exactly. Just photograph the 3 pages. That's the thing, really, is if it's that much of an onerous task, then the best thing to do is just photocopy those pages, or make yourself an Excel spreadsheet like I did, a crib sheet that's got all the details on it.
So that's fine.
And that's asking us to go above and beyond what they should have to do, perhaps.
I fully understand that you can do that. I fully understand that you can do that. And if I was taking Black Legion to a tournament setting, I would come up with a way of taking those rules with me without having to carry a whole second book with me.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to carry a whole second book with me, if I'm honest. The downside is if I'm making a spreadsheet, for example, and someone says, "Can you show me that in the rule book?" and I don't have it with me, then I'm possibly in the shit.
Yeah.
But I'm talking tournaments. That's a different ball game because it's tournaments.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, although I understand you can do that, with the money that we as fans put into this hobby, and the money that we pay for the models, the money we pay for the scenery, the money we pay for the dice, the books, everything that we pay for, even the paint is, I would argue, overcosted to some degree. I would expect to not have to do that. I would expect to not have to photograph pages to be able to go and play my rules.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, I get that.
And that's why Richie's Ringbinder world works so well.
Yeah, well, Stylus has done exactly that.
Yeah.
He made a Ringbinder
and I
that he took to a weekend at Bernie's.
The whole world of YouTube and Twitch that Richie's idea is so good, but it is so good.
Yeah.
It's an amazing fix where they can still sell stuff.
Yeah.
And it just is. It's elegant. It's easy. It
Yeah.
just annoys me that we can all see it and they can't seem to.
Yeah. I mean, to the point. Yay, Richie. Yay, you. To the point that if someone asks questions your rule, you need the book. I mean, if you were to provide them with a photocopy of the book, I think that would be fine.
Most people, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Some would still get funny. There are tournaments I've been to that have said you must have a copy, either digital or.
So in which case, to answer that point, then I would say clear it with your TO. Speak to your TO about it. Of
course,
before you go. Answer, right? It's like get it cleared. It's a pain in the ass carrying all those books around, but it's not impossible.
No. When I went to Hellstorm 2, I took a bunch of books with me, and I just put them in a. I've got a Blood Angels bag thing. And I just went in there with my dice and my tape measure. I've got to take a load of stuff anyway. Most people that go to one of these things will have a bag of sorts with them because you've got tape measure dice.
Yeah.
Some people have got command point tokens. You've got your cards, all that kind of stuff. So don't get me wrong, it's not impossible. But what I'm saying is, for me, GW and Warhammer 40k, I assume Age of Sigmar is the same. For me, it's a premium product. Okay, when you compare it to other systems out there, Infinity, what was the one we spoke about recently? The World War II one. Bolt Action, stuff like that. Who are still successful games. When you compare the quality that we get as plastic miniatures compared to them, GW is a premium product.
They really
are the best in the market at making plastic miniatures. In my opinion, people might tell me that I'm wrong. In my opinion, they're the best in the market.
You'd be hard pressed to prove otherwise.
So if you're paying for a premium product, you want that premium product to really perform. You want it to tick every box and not leave you frustrated. If you buy a premium car and it continuously causes you little niggly issues, you're going to be pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to want to get rid of it and change it or get it back or some sort of. That's why they come with massive warranties and stuff, right? You don't want niggly issues when you're paying for a premium product. I understand the difference between a £50,000 car and a £30 box of models is huge, but what I'm saying is, in relative speak, it is a premium.
Yeah.
And I would like a premium service. And I think they are so close to that premium service now, with the way that they interact on social media, with the way that Warhammer TV works, with the things that they're doing, the things that they're listening to us about, the things like contrast paint. We are so close to that 100% premium product, in my opinion. They've just got a couple of little stumbling blocks they need to get over to be there.
I mean, I think to a certain extent that's the holy grail, and you're never really going to get there. There's always going to be a moving target, isn't it?
I will say that if they continue to improve over the next 10 years the way they have over the last 2, then we're in for a real treat.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of this sort of contentious conversation, if you call it that, is shows us that we all are very invested in the hobby, and by and large, we're all really enjoying it because we wouldn't do it if we weren't. Of course,
absolutely.
So it's a great time to be in the hobby, and that's down to GW.
Yeah,
it's not entirely down to them, but it's their game. They make the models, they make the rules.
I mean, let's be honest, okay? Because we are talking about accessibility as well. Still, let's be honest. 7th edition, towards the end, I will go out on a limb and say it was possibly close to killing the company. They had zero social interaction at all with anyone. They wouldn't listen to people. It was as broken as I think it's ever been. There are people genuinely I know people that walked away from it because it was just stupid.
Yeah.
And they went and found different gaming systems, and people were looking at things like Bolt Action, Firestorm Armada, and of course when other companies come out and then drop things like Star Wars Legion and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Star Wars has got its own fan base that probably pisses all over 40k's fan base, right?
Easily.
It's Star Wars, you know. And when they drop a game like Legion, which is miniatures on a battlefield, that probably could have 3 years ago maybe been a real killer for GW.
Yeah.
Could have
done.
And they've rescued it, and they've given us what I think is an excellent addition to the game. And let's be fair, it's my honest opinion that they're still learning. These sort of slight cock-ups, I suppose you could call them, they're probably still learning, and they're probably still doing things and go. They did it with
Every day's
Harken
school
World
day.
Claimer is a minuscule example for me of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Harken World Claimer came out of a set of rules. GW went, oh, that wasn't intentional, and nerfed him. The community went, what? And they went, oh, yeah, sorry, and put it back.
Yeah.
Like that, on the spot learning. And within 3 days, his rules changed twice. And some people would say that that's messy and wrong because it should have never happened. But what that showed me is that they put something out there, weren't happy with it and changed it, the community kicked off, and they changed it straight back again.
Yeah, and you can't expect them to get it right all the time.
100%, because it's a complex
human
game.
beings. And they're human beings.
One of the very first sit and talks we did when it used to be called Two Beers, One Chat, we were talking about the rules of 40k, and you went, it's fucking hard to balance. It's a complex game.
Yeah. It's hard to write rules.
Yeah, it is. So, in summary, in my opinion, we have still got the most accessible edition of 40k that we've ever had. And I think that is because if you look at it, I think that is the case because you look at it as more than just a rule set, and you look at it as a community, as local gaming stores, as the amount of players you've got, as Facebook sites, as social media, etc., etc., etc. I just think, and again, like I said, lifted stigma, more sort of widely accepted and a little bit more mainstream. I think it's the most accessible edition of 40k we've ever had.
Yeah.
I do think there is a risk that it could become less, or it has become, or is becoming less accessible, and I still think it's the most accessible edition ever.
By any measure of success you would care to look at, you would see that GW is doing a lot better than it was 5 years ago.
If you take the current mess of FAQs and books, I still think it's more accessible than 7th edition was.
Yeah.
Categorically.
I can't really comment on that, although all I can say is the game that I'm playing today seems a lot less complicated than the game that I was thinking about playing 2 years ago.
Yeah,
prior to the release of 8th.
And that, for me, that's a real, like your experience there is a really key indicator as well. And I think to some extent, although I'm not having a go at people here, I think to some extent, if you do turn up to a club or a group of people and you're regularly getting your ass handed to you by a ridiculous list, then what you need to do to be able to enjoy the game is change up the people you play.
Yeah.
And I understand entirely that is easier for some people. It's more easy for some people than it is for others. I get that. But because of how accessible it is to, and the number of people that are now playing, I don't think another player who will be your kind of player is all that far away, personally.
Or failing that, if you have a very small hobby group, you're in an isolated country or community or something, you can't find other people, try talking to the person you're playing the game with. Try having a conversation and saying, the way you're playing the game, the units you're using, it's not fun for me.
Yeah.
You know, if you enjoy playing this game, you know, then I would appreciate it if you would consider toning your list down so that we can both enjoy the game.
And Rich Thompson just said on Twitch that he went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
He went, okay, let's join in the arms race. And some people will do that. That's fine.
Well, yeah.
You know? And some people will buy 3 Leviathans that aren't cheesy. Anyway.
I'm letting that slide.
Yeah, I can see you sort of shift uncomfortably.
Because it's getting late.
Anyway, basically that's where I've come down on it. Anyway, that's my sort of take on it. You seem to agree?
Yeah, I was going to say, and for a change, I do 100% agree with you.
Yeah, which is rare, right?
It's pretty rare. It's pretty rare.
But yeah, ultimately, the other thing to do, of course, if you're struggling to find opponents or a community that you can get involved in, is to come and find us on Patreon. There's a link below on Twitch and on YouTube, and you can come and join us. Minimal cost, gets you into Discord, $2, and the community in there is incredible. Yeah. Yes, to wrap up this video, Richie E is a genius.
He is also a borderline sex pest, though.
I mean, you were generous to him there by calling it borderline. So yeah, come and join a community like ours. Come and jump in and have a look at what we're doing and join and give it a go. It's amazing. Okay, I love the community. I've had people genuinely recently, and I don't want to blow smoke up my own backside on camera, but people said to me recently, "This community you've made is amazing," and I have to remind them, I've just created the space. It's the people that make it. It's 100% the people that make it. Even Richie. The community is what it is because of the people we have in it, the people that are doing things like No Surrender 2, that are doing things like Weekend at Bernie's, the people. Weekend at Bernie's has a book, for Christ's sake, there's trophies, there's pin badges. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's the people posting pictures of their models and asking for feedback as well as giving feedback.
And helps and tips, and here's where you find these rules, and here's when you find... here's where you find those rules, and here's this narrative, and there's that fluff, and this is a good book to read. It's just that any question that's 40k or hobby related, you can find it. I love you guys. You're all awesome.
Love it.
So thank you for me personally, for 8th edition, thank you for such a wonderful hobby space, because it's incredible to even for myself to jump in there. I can get hints, tips, feedbacks, and stuff like that. So that's incredible. If you do like these shows, if you like watching these, we have a back catalogue on YouTube. There's also a schedule on Twitch, as I mentioned at the start of the video. If you want to come and join us live on Twitch, check out the schedule, and it will tell you when we're going to be live next, and you can come and join us. Next weekend is, I believe, a Monday or Sunday. I don't remember.
You tell me.
I don't remember. That's what I just said. Thanks for drawing attention to that. But yeah, we do them on Mondays and or Sundays. So come and check us out. Me and Mikey P have considered adding a couple of extra episodes a week in every now and again, where we're going to sit in hobby instead.
Yeah.
And stick that on camera.
Just waiting for you to get the camera set up, mate.
Yeah. I know.
No pressure.
Yeah, thanks, mate. We're going to give that a go, and we're going to do some hangout and hobby sessions. That, I think, will be good fun. So this will be less topic driven, and probably not for YouTube. This will just be for Twitch, hangout and hobby, where we'll chat nonsense to you, whilst we're sat there with our scalpels and glue and paints and stuff. I think that'd be really good fun.
Yeah,
so we're looking
agree.
at doing that. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. There's no promises yet. We need to try and fiddle with it and play with it and see how it looks.
It's probably going to start off being a bit sporadic, but... it's
probably going to be a bit shit to start with.
Yeah, but we're going to give it a go, I think.
Yeah, and that's the bonus with it being all live in this one big studio. So thank you very much for that, all your support, because that's leading us to this place. If you enjoy Battle Reports, we've got Battle Reports and Warhammer. There's one that's just come out. There's one that's coming out in a couple of weeks against Darren and his Yunari, which is really interesting, actually. And we also have Battle Reports on deployments.tv, so check those out. And we have to say a massive thank you to our sponsors at Element Games, because those guys are heroes. We love them very much. So thank you, Element, and specifically thank you, Matt. Matt, as a rep, is in Discord.
He is.
And he answers customers' questions, sometimes in minutes. He's amazing.
He's pretty quick, to be fair to him. Yeah, and he does it outside of work hours. I've seen that.
Incredible.
Not going to guarantee he'll do that.
No,
but on occasion he has.
Matt, you are a legend.
Yeah.
And the amount of problems people have had, and he's fixed them in moments for them and given them information that they probably otherwise wouldn't have had.
Yeah, and some fun banter.
Another bonus for being a Discord subscriber, which is really cool. I think that covers almost everything I need to cover.
Yes. I don't think we can cover anything else without going off on a massive tangent.
Oh, the battle report against Darren and his Yunari, I bring Chaos Space Marines for the first time.
Woo.
And I don't mean as a codex, I mean actual Marines.
Actual, yeah.
That got sent to us from James at Blazing Brush Studio, who's our official painting studio. And he's just sent me an update picture the other day with some Terminators and Havocs that are almost finished as well.
Trey, exciting.
Oh, it's just getting good. I just love this. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us. As per usual, we'll say goodbye to those of you on YouTube right now, and we'll keep chatting for 10 minutes on Twitch, because they've only been podcasting next door for probably the last sort of 45 minutes or so, or hour or whatever. So
bet they've eaten all the bourbons.
I bet they've eaten all the bourbons, yeah. Probably done me a favour. But yeah, we'll keep chatting to you for a few more minutes, then we'll go and raid someone, probably Studio J7, because he's online, unless someone's got a better idea. Anyway, that's that. Anything you want to add, Mikey P?
No, I do not believe so at this time.
Perfect. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Love you, bye.